Most users probably already have this knowledge, and won't get much out of a transmission like this. But if you've ever wanted to introduce family or friends to video games, or you're actually a newcomer, this one's for you. Even if you just want a working knowledge for buying video games, this information will enable you to make the right choice, and help you cut through the strong views that buzz around the game industry. Buying a video game with little knowledge is not only bad for gift giving, but can be bad for a hobby and the industry as well. A single bad purchase won't kill the game industry, but a series of bad decisions can cause trouble, as with anything in life. If enough people aren't informed in a marketplace and buy a bad product, merchants and producers will think that providing a subpar product is all they'll need to do. If the consumer does not care about the quality of their purchase, then profits can be increased by decreasing quality and thus establishing a new, lower status quo. I think you get the picture. To prevent that, this transmission will teach you how to make informed choices about whether a game is good or if it will be something you like, without spending most of your day researching and playing it. Video games are made by game developers, and the development team is made up of writers, artists, musicians, programmers, and even some manager types, who are probably making sure people aren't being lazy. Development teams can be as little as one person, or as big as hundreds, so it's a given that some people will do more than one job. How a game plays, what happens, and anything else that's an important part of the experience is decided by the designer. They communicate their vision of the game as the game is made. You can think of the game designer as a movie director. The director has to visualize each shot and have the on-set crew capture it. So if someone has a favorite director, they know what to expect from their other films. It's not typically necessary to learn who the senior or lead designers are, and it can be enough just to learn the name of the game developer, since the quality will stay mostly the same. People need to get paid for all this work though, just like a movie studio executive holds the purse strings. It's the game publisher who will fund and then help distribute the finished game. Some publishers are also developers, but a publisher doesn't normally need to be involved in the development process, beyond making sure those weird creative types in the development team hit their deadlines. Some developers would love if there was no publisher involvement, but that's all another transmission for another time. Once you're familiar with the quality of games a developer puts out, you can simply look on the game box to see which developer made it. Sometimes, a game developer will fail to meet their usual standards, if perhaps they've taken on a licensing deal, or they had just very little development time to really work on the product. Licensed games that come out with a motion picture can run into this dilemma, since the game's development cycle gets dictated by the movie's release as well. Just like literature, music, and film, games have genres. Some characteristics of a game lend better to some genres than others. By understanding genres and what you like, you can even better pinpoint what games you may like. If you like story and don't mind spending the time to get immersed in a whole new world, you might prefer an adventure game. If you would rather get into a game you can play in short spans, without overcoming a great learning curve, you might like puzzle games. Here's a list of some popular genres, with characteristics you can expect from each of them. First-person shooters. The player will have a gun, and need to shoot their way through bad guys from a camera set in the first-person perspective. These games can usually be played in long or short sessions. Modern first-person shooters are made to be approachable by players of different skill levels, but can take a few hours of practice if you're new to them. There's an emphasis on online multiplayer with most first-person shooters, usually featuring cooperative and competitive modes. Sports games. The player takes the role of a person playing a sport. They can be played in long or short sessions depending on the sport in the game. Generally, the controls usually aren't very complicated, depending on certain sports. These also can be played online, sometimes with cooperative and competitive modes. Puzzle games. The player solves puzzles. It can be as simple as just solving a series of puzzles, or can involve a complex narrative. Puzzle games are usually played in short sessions, but can last for long sessions if the player is engrossed. Controls and game mechanics likely aren't hard to grasp, allowing for easy pickup and play. Puzzle games are mostly played in single-player mode, but some can be played online in cooperative and competitive modes. Adventure games. The player takes the role of an adventurer who will battle foes, explore locations, talk to people, and gather items. These games are best played in long sessions, and have objectives that may take a while to complete. Controls are usually not hard to get the hang of, but can be difficult with some titles. They don't usually feature cooperative or competitive online modes. Platformer. The player takes the role of a character who must run and jump through levels, focusing on getting over obstacles. Typically a good game for beginners, but it can also be very challenging and suited for experts. It depends mostly on the title. Controls will usually be easy to pick up, as the challenge comes in timing the jumps. These games don't usually have online play, but can have single console multiplayer. Fighting games. The player controls a character whose moves are related to fighting, dodging, punching, kicking, blocking, etc. This game can be enjoyed in short or long sessions depending on the skill and desire of the player. A beginner can get some enjoyment out of the game, but a more experienced player will get more from it by investing the time to learn the character's moves and how they work. These games can be played in a single player mode, competitively on a single machine, and in competitive online modes. Role-playing can mean a lot of things, but classic RPGs have an emphasis on text, reading dialogue and story, and selecting actions from menus. For this reason, it can be something a beginner can pick up, but might require an investment in time to get all the details of the combat system. The player takes the role of a character or group of characters that do what an adventure game protagonist might. These can be played in a single player mode and sometimes online cooperative and competitive mode. Simulator games. These games are usually played in longer sessions. Controls can be as simple as a game of The Sims or as complex as a flight simulator. Learning how to control it is a big part of the game. These games are usually preferred by more experienced players or players that are driven by curiosity. They are typically not multiplayer and more of a single player experience. This is a rough estimation of what someone can expect from these genres by determining the amount of time you have and the level of interest you have in each genre. You can figure out what game you'd like, as well as anticipate the quality by determining who made it. As with anything, this isn't foolproof, but it's the best way to judge if you might like a game, short of reading multiple online and print reviews or playing it for yourself. Developing the knowledge and skill that is the hallmark of a game enthusiast is just something that will take time. Everyone's a beginner, and it's not uncommon that some people will pretend to be more than that without making the effort of becoming informed. Let your interests guide you and go for what you like most. Even if your conclusions are that you don't really seem to like video games, you will have at least tried, and there's always a few trailblazers in the game industry who might make something new that you later find you like. Get informed and have fun.